Good evening and welcome to the Monday edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Aaron Surrey here on this beautiful Monday evening here across Tallahassee, where it is currently 66 degrees under partly cloudy skies there, with that really nice looking sky out there with an east-northeast wind at 6 miles per hour. Current radar does show really not much in the way of any kind of moisture. That will actually increase tomorrow, though, as we do see a cold front enter into the region once more. Tonight in Tallahassee, it's not going to be quite as cold as it was yesterday, but we will go down to 54 degrees. So that's certainly at least like a light jacket or so as you make your way out the door tomorrow morning. And as for tomorrow's forecast, it'll also go up to 73 degrees under cloudy skies. We usually do have a chance for some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow as that cold front does pass through the area. Tonight's headlines: chilly week ahead for Tallahassee, snow in the plains in the Midwest, including as far south as Texas, and a rainy pattern across the southeast. All that and more on FSU Weather.
Thank you, Aaron. So like Aaron did mention, we do have some new incoming cold front, which is following just after a pretty decently strong cold front, which we had these past few days. So if you've noticed, I'm sure that the temperatures have gone down quite significantly, and I believe we hit down into the upper 30s early this morning at the Tallahassee airport. That's getting into the winter seasons, late fall, so we are going to be seeing some more and more cold fronts. They're going to get more and more frequent as the season begins to move on. And we have a jam-packed show for you tonight, including a very, very special birthday. All of us here at FSU Weather would like to wish a very happy birthday to our one and only Ale. Today is her 21st birthday, so we're going to wish her a very happy birthday and pass it off to her at the wall.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Just a little bit issue with that graphics. Yes, it is my birthday. I'm really excited to have some cake on this lovely afternoon in Doe Campbell Stadium. 66, partly cloudy. It's like the weather's wishing me a very happy birthday. I love this cool weather, and sadly it is going to change a little bit tomorrow, which we'll get into in the show. But for now, these current temperatures are looking swell to me, folks. It is 60s across the board, a little bit warmer up in Thomasville, but it's just really been cooler. This really good weather compared to that heat that we've been feeling. We are going to get some warmer temperatures tomorrow because of that cold front that's going to pass through and bring some rain. But that current dew point looking quite dry for us. Again, we did have a cold front pass through recently, so we're still kind of experiencing that dryness from it, but it's just going to get more moist again. It's going to be like a rinse-repeat sort of cycle for us here in the Panhandle. Looking at that wind, we do have a breeze coming from the land, again, contributed to that dryness that we've been seeing. We are not having too much of a breeze here at 6 miles per hour, but it's going to be a little bit breezier tomorrow, again, with that rain and those thunderstorms we're expecting. Looking at the temperature almanac, today we actually stayed relatively close to the average, a little bit cooler than usual, but a lot better than 26. I don't think I'd like to be in 26-degree weather up here in Tallahassee. Going to class, imagine that. Gotta wear your scarf, take off all your layers. Not for me. And you know what is for me? This clear radar that we're seeing. It's just really great conditions to go outside tonight. I know it's gonna be a little bit chilly, but you can just dress in layers and you'll be fine, don't worry. Looking into the future, again, that cold front that we've been mentioning is going to be passing through, bringing in some rain, well-needed rain because we have been in a drought, but we are going to have some rain, and again, it's going to get cooler into the week. Looking at tonight, 58, 50s really across the board for us is going to be cooler. It's actually going to be a little bit cloudy, so maybe a little bit of a cloudier night, but make sure you are wearing a jacket because it's going to be chilly. Tomorrow, again, we're going to wake up chilly, 58. It's going to warm up to 72, and I don't really like this mix of rain and cold, guys. You got to be careful. I know a lot of people have been catching the flu recently. And for tomorrow, again, rainy days for all of us here in the Panhandle. It's really just not the best. So make sure you're wearing a rain jacket, wearing some rain boots. Just make sure you're dressing for the weather. And I'm really wondering, how is this cold front going to affect all of Florida, Ryan?
Well, the rest of Florida is eventually going to get in this cold front too. Right now, the rest of Florida is a little bit warmer. Panama City, we're seeing about 57 degrees, so it is a little bit cooler. But notice as we get into Tampa and Miami and Orlando, you're still seeing on the warm side of things. So if you're in Central and South Florida, you're still in the warmer pattern. So notice in the Panhandle, at least, we kind of are still dealing with the effects of the last cold front that dropped us down. We saw early morning temperatures throughout central Florida get pretty cool. I know like Ocala got into the 50s overnight, but they warmed up pretty good today. And with our dew points also, chapstick weather in much of the panhandle, definitely. I noticed my lips were getting pretty chapped today. But as we get down into central and south Florida, we're kind of see some summer-like dew points and summer-like humidity. So walk out the door and your hair sticks up. Wow. I can't believe we're still seeing summer-like dew points. But we are still seeing some showers and storms off the Atlantic coast, off the Space Coast near Brevard County. Even Volusia is starting to see some pop-up showers, some thunderstorms, and those may move through overnight tonight. But as for the panhandle, we're looking pretty clear. You'll notice off to our west, though, that kind of our next big weather maker is off, just sitting to our west, and that's what's going to bring strong showers and storms in tomorrow with the potential for some severe pop-up showers, but that'll also bring in our next kind of wave of cool weather to the Sunshine State. So Miami, we're sitting at 86 degrees for tomorrow, 87 on Wednesday, so the cold front's not really going to reach you. 84 degrees on Thursday. Heading up to Tampa also, we're sitting at 82. You will see this cold front getting down to 75 for a high temperature on Wednesday morning. So definitely maybe a hoodie or something, because it'll be 67 by Thursday. But notice rain chance is still sitting about 0%. Orlando also, you're going to see this cold front sitting in the 80s tomorrow and Wednesday, and then whoop, right down to 67 degrees by Thursday. That is going to be pretty chilly. I know a lot of my friends in Central Florida don't like when it dips below 70. So definitely with high temperatures sitting at 67, it's going to get pretty cold in Jacksonville as well. Sitting at 59 by Thursday, 69 on Wednesday. So definitely getting pretty cool for much of the Sunshine State. 75 degrees on Tuesday in Pensacola, down to 57 degrees Wednesday once that cold front does pass through. So tomorrow we will see showers and storms move through, and then Thursday staying at about 54 degrees. So here's the rainfall forecast. We're really going to see most of the rain throughout the panhandle, but all of the Sunshine State really has the opportunity to see showers and thunderstorms pass through with this cold front. Tallahassee, parts of Apalachicola, and on near the coast, even in the parts of Alabama, that's where we're going to see most of our rain. So overnight tonight, we are going to get cool in the panhandle. The rest of the state, though, we're seeing the mid-60s, low 70s overall. And then tomorrow is kind of our rainy day through much of the panhandle and most of Florida. Spencer, how's the rest of the U.S. looking?
Thank you, Ryan. So we're going to take a look at what's going on a little bit more in the southeast. So very clearly you can see here down in central and southern parts of Florida, we had that cold front move through the other day, but not quite as far to reach into central and south Florida. So that's why you still see some orange colors here. Temperatures still in the 70s from Orlando down to Miami. But as we get into more in the panhandle and much more throughout the southeast, we see temperatures dipping into the 60s, 50s, and even down into the 40s in places like Little Rock and Shreveport. So taking a look at the wind speed and direction, so you can see here, just west of Louisiana, we can see some wind starting to converge. This is because of that front that we just saw a few graphics ago, and that as it makes its way toward the east, we're going to see some increased wind. That's why we see some bit breezier conditions in places like Jackson, Shreveport, and New Orleans, as opposed to places like Tampa and Miami. And our current radar. So this is a very good front, very defined cold front. So you can see here this very sharp leading edge. That is the boundary between the cool air and the moist air, and the warm moist air and the cooler dry air. So this, you can see we have some increased rainfall coming and storms in the next few days. So here's just another look, except with the water vapor. So this shows moisture in the air. You can see here that very sharp delineation, and we see some storms starting to pop up right here along that front. Moisture conditions over here, drier conditions back here. And our current dew point. So this is another measure of moisture. This is how much moisture the air can hold. So you can see here, these darker colors are drier conditions. So you can see drier conditions as we go more north. Wow, 28 degrees out in Memphis, 40 in Montgomery, and 63. Still pretty nice down in Tampa. And as you can see here, this is from the Storm Prediction Center. So this is essentially our likelihood of experiencing severe weather in the next few days. You can see this very light color here, non-severe, just normal, typical rain and thunderstorms. And down here, this darker green color, that's a level 1 out of 5. That's just from the incoming cold front. So those areas should be on the lookout. And furthermore, day 2, so this is not tomorrow, but this is tomorrow. So you can see here some greener areas where we have a higher risk in the western parts of the Florida Panhandle. And for day 3, so as that front continues to move east, it's going to move offshore, and once it does, we'll be essentially free of a severe weather storm threat here in the southeast, which is why we don't see anything for that day 3 outlook. And for the next 48 hours, you can see here very clearly, very quickly, that front moving off toward the east. Lots of moisture throughout the southeast in general, but really once that front moves through, we are going to see some cooler temperatures yet again and drier conditions. And over the next 72 hours, you can expect to see the highest rain near New Orleans, and that will decrease as it moves more and more west. And hopefully here in Tallahassee with that drought, we will see maybe ½ an inch to an inch worth of water. And taking a quick look at the forecast temperatures for tomorrow, you can see temperatures in the 80s in the more peninsular part of the state, 86 in Miami, 82 in Tampa, and the 70s up in the Panhandle, and even the 50s. You can see that pretty sharp contrast in temperatures from the cold front there. You can see temperatures in 59 in New Orleans and Montgomery. We're going to be passing things off to Aaron with a look at our national weather.
That is pretty warm there this time of year. 74 and 80s, of course, across Tampa and Orlando. But, of course, we do have that cold front that we're looking forward to here in the next day or so. But we'll zoom things out a bit more and look at our national overview here. We are sitting pretty cold across much of the plains over along the east coast there as we do await for the arrival of our cold front, which is somewhere over near the plains right now. You can actually see a bit of a temperature gradient right there across Iowa down into Kansas there. So overall, very cold, 17 degrees in Bismarck. That is very chilly, especially for being here in Florida. And then 49 degrees in Memphis. So we definitely do have a cold front on the way, and it'll be making its way here pretty soon. So we also have drier air in place, and that will change a bit tomorrow as we do begin to see some of that warmer, moist air coming off out of the Gulf, out ahead of that cold front. And then until we see a reinforcing shot of that drier air, perhaps might need some more chapstick as you go across later in the week and into the weekend, perhaps with that drier air. And as for our friends out in the west, they are also staying pretty dry. They're mostly in the 40s for the dew point. Our level water vapor, we have that cold front right now that is forming across much of at least the eastern part of the Rockies there. Also have a little bit of a swirl here ahead of another cold front that will be bringing us that cooler weather there tomorrow, and potentially some rain tomorrow along that boundary as it makes its way over across the Panhandle tomorrow morning. And elsewhere, we're actually staying relatively dry across much of the west coast of the United States there. Do have a few swirling features there, but at least not much in the way of any kind of a rainmaker across the west coast. As for our national surface map, we do have high pressure right here across the mid-Atlantic, and what that's doing is providing that relatively northeasterly wind across much of northern Florida. That will begin to eventually turn over to the south as we have that warm front lifting over across much of the Gulf Coast, and that cold front there. Here is what we're going to be watching for the day after tomorrow, with that cold front bringing more cooler weather. So make sure you don't put those jackets away yet, because after the rain, we will see that cooler air coming in. As for the drought monitor, we're actually seeing a little bit of precipitation across areas that do need it the most, especially across the nation's heartland there, so Kansas, Oklahoma, where they're in an exceptional drought. So they really need that precipitation they're getting right now. And actually, some places are even getting some snow, too. So perhaps when it melts, too, might see a little bit of water there. So as for our area, we are also in a drought, too. Don't forget that. We are actually in a severe drought across much of northern Florida here. And just make sure you at least take precautions if you decide you want to perhaps do a bonfire later in the week to enjoy the arrival of the cooler air, perhaps. But overall, much of the drought conditions, at least the more stringent drought conditions, are more out towards Texas and over to Oklahoma. As for the SPC storm outlook, we do have the potential for a couple of stronger storms there, at least today, from about Houston over towards about New Orleans there. We could see perhaps a rumble of thunder or two here across our area tonight into tomorrow, but most of the activity should be coming in tomorrow along that cold front, where there is a marginal risk for the extreme western portions of the Florida Panhandle there. They're underneath a marginal risk. So tomorrow, you might at least be surprised to see perhaps here a rumble or two across the Tallahassee area before all that pushes off towards the Atlantic and we celebrate the arrival of the cold front. So as for our active alerts here, we actually have those purples and those pinks where we see those snow covering across the Oklahoma and Texas over towards Kansas and Missouri there, where they perhaps could see some snow conditions overnight into tomorrow. But after tomorrow's forecast, we're going to see that warmer conditions continue across Florida until we have that cold front. But now I'll turn things over to Spencer.
Thank you, Aaron. So once again, we can see the temperatures for tomorrow sitting at 60 degrees in New Orleans and 70. There we go. Had a quick issue with the graphic. So we're going to take a look at the res. So it is in grayscale right now, but we do have some. Okay, maybe not. We are going to be looking at temperatures instead, actually. So temperatures right here in Tallahassee sitting at 62 degrees. It's 55 out in Quincy and 57 out in Thomasville. And our hour by hour, so you can see for today, we started off in the low 40s, around 45 degrees, although the airport did actually touch down into the upper 30s, I believe. And as the day moved on, we had virtually no clouds in the sky, so we had all that solar energy just beating down on us, which is why we see those temperatures start to rise throughout the day. You can see it was around 60 degrees or 65 degrees by noonish, roughly, and then that did peak close to 70 degrees by 4 p.m., which is typically when we can expect to see the warmest temperatures throughout the day, because that's when we've received the most solar energy. And for tonight, so we do have some cooler temperatures still as a remnant of that cold front that came through us recently. However, before that next cold front comes through in the next day or two, we are going to have a quick little respite in terms of temperatures, so warmer temperatures for tonight, 61 in St. Mark's, 59 in Tallahassee, and 59 as well out in Valdosta. And our late night forecast, so you can see tonight, mainly temperatures sitting in the mid-50s, 57 at 9 p.m., 56 at both 11 and 1 a.m. And tomorrow, you can see around in the morning and throughout much of the afternoon, we can expect to see some rain, and particularly tomorrow evening, we might even have a little bit of a potential for some thunderstorms. But really, temperatures are going to be sitting in the upper 50s and possibly into the lower 70s for tomorrow. And tomorrow's drivecast, you can see 61 degrees in the morning with some possibility for some showers, 68 by noon, and 72 degrees by the afternoon. And for the next few days ahead of us, we can see temperatures sitting mainly in the 70s with lows in the 50s. Those are going to decrease in the coming days once we have that next cold front, with lows possibly in the upper 30s and highs as low as the mid 60s. And we're going to be passing things off to Ryan for a look at our sports.
Thank you so much, Spencer. Yeah, so sports-wise, we are quite active both at FSU and looking professionally. So let's take a look around there. We've got Monday Night Football tonight, but first let's look at the Sportsplex. Lots of sports there going on, I'm sure. Flag football, I know, is in full season. Looks great if you're heading out to the Sportsplex tonight. Do maybe bring a jacket if you're going to be playing some football. It's going to get a little cool. 41 degrees for Monday Night Football, Commanders versus Eagles. That's going to be pretty cool. So if you're heading out to Philadelphia for the game, definitely bring something to keep warm. I was going to go to a Bear game this weekend, ended up canceling, but I know they got pretty cold, and definitely sitting in the bleachers with cold weather is not really that fun. So taking a look at our satellite and radar, I did notice a couple tornado warnings and special weather statements pop up near Texas earlier, but taking a look through the heartland is where we kind of see some snow, but up towards Philadelphia, that's where we kind of look a little bit better. Not really too much to talk about in the northeast region, just a couple pop-up showers and storms, but nothing really to talk about. So tomorrow in Philadelphia, that's going to be your rain day, seeing about 90% chance of rain. 48 degrees is your high temperature, so maybe if you're running up to the Rocky statue tomorrow, maybe bring a jacket with you. And then 52 degrees by Wednesday, 47 degrees is the high on Thursday, so you are going to be getting pretty cold. But you know where it's not as cold? 56 degrees for tonight's basketball game against Troy. Hopefully we can kind of get out of our losing streak against Stetson and UCF and get going against Troy, really find our groove in men's basketball. Women's basketball takes the court Wednesday, sitting about 58 degrees. So definitely, if you're going to or from the Civic Center, especially if you're making that walk, bring a jacket to keep you warm, because it is going to be a little breezy. You're going to want something to keep you warm. Up in Athens, Georgia, swimming and diving is sitting about 48 degrees. It is, I believe, an indoor pool, so hopefully the water temperatures are a little bit warmer. Athens, Georgia, high temperature-wise, they're looking pretty cold. We're going to see that cold front push through tomorrow, and that'll kind of keep temperatures lower with the rain. So down to 32 degrees for a low by Thursday morning, 49 degrees for a high. So definitely, if you're going to Athens for swimming and diving, keep something to keep you warm. Same thing if you're going out to the soccer game Friday against LSU, 5:30, 51 degrees. So definitely bring something to keep you warm because it's just kind of that time of year where it's getting pretty cold, and especially if you're used to Florida weather, this is not normal. 49 degrees, at least Central and South Floridians are not used to this type of cold weather. 45 degrees for the Civic Center on Friday against Florida. So that's definitely going to be a full house, and it's going to be pretty cold. So if you're going to the Civic Center, definitely bring something to keep you warm. I feel like I'm saying it over and over again, but it is important to stay warm. Definitely keep your hands warm. Just walking around at night keeps you pretty cold. And with the Raging Cajuns coming to town, at least it's going to be a 12 o'clock game, but 56 degrees for kickoff. So that's going to be pretty cold. Definitely keep yourself warm because take a look at the whole week ahead. We're getting once that cold front comes through, we're getting pretty cold until about Saturday, Sunday is really when we kind of still are seeing in the 60s, LA.
Thank you so much. Yeah, folks, it's going to be chilly, but, you know, nothing a little layering can't fix. Maybe a scarf, maybe break out those Doc Martens. But, folks, it's actually looking really nice in our area. Panama City actually glowing purple, it looks. Real nice for them. Lake Bradford, a little bit cloudy. Again, that sun is just setting over the horizon. And Sportsplex looking nice and clear. People enjoying this lovely night over the Sportsplex in St. George Island, already a little bit dark. Feeling that cold before we get that moisture tomorrow. And yes, it is my birthday. Folks, happy birthday. This forecast is perfect for me. It's going to be mostly clear, 70 degrees, great weather to celebrate, eat some cake, go out and enjoy my 21st birthday. And going into our current temperatures, it's getting a little bit cooler than we've been seeing as we're going now into the low 60s, even dipping into the 50s, as you can see over like this little ridge right here, even down to Apalachicola. We're starting to feel that cooler weather coming in again. That's going to be a little bit different tomorrow with that rain that's going to be moving into our area, bringing in like 70-degree weather, but it will be cooling down into the week. These dew points looking quite dry for us. Again, you see that brown tinge over in Donaldsonville, and it's just, again, a little bit more dry than we've been experiencing, again, with that severe drought. So this cold front is actually really well needed. We need that rain for us. It's really unlike us to have this much drought. If you're going stargazing tonight, it's going to be really great conditions. That waning gibbous is going to be not too bright for you. So if you're going to put out a telescope, make sure you bring a jacket because it's going to be chilly, but it's going to be really great stargazing conditions. If you're getting a head start on your finals prep, it's going to be chilly, folks. Stroger is not the best warm place. I don't think I'd really want to be studying somewhere a little bit too warm. So it's going to be 68, bring a jacket, and if you're too cold, make sure you just get a nice hot chocolate from Starbucks. If you're flying tomorrow, no delays. It's going to be great. Just a little bit cloudy, but for the most part, for all of us in the United States, we're having no delays even with that cold front. So lucky for you if you're flying tomorrow. If you're sailing, it's going to be 69, strong wind, so maybe do some windsurfing if you're feeling it, but make sure you don't fall into that water because it's going to be 67, a little bit chilly. And if you're somebody who likes to stay on the sand, it's going to be a little bit chilly in the morning, 64, warming up to 73. I know some people like a cool beach day. Not really my vibe. If you're biking tomorrow, make sure you can hold an umbrella because it's going to be raining in the morning, it's going to be cold, it's going to be muggy, and it's not going to be the best conditions. But for the most part tomorrow, it's going to be 74 degrees, it's going to be cloudy, quite nice for us. And just folks, make sure you enjoy this wonderful weather as we're experiencing it. Make sure you stay dry tomorrow. And you know, why don't you have a little fun today for my birthday? And you know what, Aaron? I'm really wondering, how's it looking locally?
Well, locally, we might have to bring that umbrella up, but of course, tomorrow with that rainfall happening across much of the area, make sure you do bring onto that umbrella if you are heading out the door tomorrow. But right now, live look at Doak Campbell Stadium. It is dark, it is dry right now with some clouds up in the sky there. 62 degrees in Tallahassee here. It's not until you get over towards southwest Georgia where we might get more into the 50s. There's 57 degrees in Bainbridge and over across the border 55 in Quincy. Wind speed and direction, we do have some of those winds are mostly out of the northeast or so, around that high pressure over to the north. So what that's allowing, at least what that's allowing is some of that Atlantic moisture coming into the area. These will eventually turn off to the south there ahead of our next cold front tomorrow, which will be also our next rainmaker. So our current radar is dry. This will change by tomorrow afternoon, or I should say tomorrow midday probably, as we'll begin to see those rain showers coming in from the west. And again, we do have the marginal risk of perhaps a few stronger or severe storms there across much of the Emerald Coast tomorrow afternoon. And then as for our future radar, we'll have those clouds intermittent here overnight tonight. Not quite as cold as it was last night, but we have that rain coming in tomorrow around midday or so. Actually should dry out by about tomorrow evening, though. So tomorrow actually might not be a bad evening to go outside. We'll have to check in on your local radar, though, to see what the exact situation is. Tonight in Tallahassee, 55 degrees, so not as chilly as we were last night, down near, or actually in the upper 30s, I think is what Spencer said, but still a little bit chilly enough to have a light jacket, perhaps, on your walk out the door tomorrow morning. Tonight's forecast, again, for much of the area, we're staying for the most part in the 50s over towards I-10 and north, and over towards the coast, we're staying in the 60s with that marine layer influence here from the Gulf of Mexico. If you're walking your pooch tomorrow morning, might also be that umbrella too, where it's actually in the 50s and then warming up into the middle 60s by the middle of the day. And for hour by hour forecast for tomorrow, won't be that quite chilly, but it will still be chilly enough where you might need that jacket tomorrow. And we'll eventually be warming up into the lower or upper 60s to low 70s, of course. We might feel even chillier then too because of that rain cool effect. And as for your week ahead, we will begin to see that warm up slightly tomorrow until we nosedive tomorrow, or I should say throughout the rest of the week there, with only possibly in the mid-50s for highs on Thursday. So very chilly. Make sure you bring that jacket out there. But now I'll turn things over to close out the show with Ale.
Thank you so much, Aaron. So yeah, folks, make sure you're staying warm and dry tomorrow. I know everybody's commuting to class. I know it's a busy season. We're getting into finals for anybody here watching from FSU, any FSU students. So make sure you're just taking these precautions because I know a lot of people have been getting sick. The flu's going around. We still have COVID. So we really want everybody to stay warm and safe tomorrow. However, again, with this cold front, it is going to be bringing in that rain that is really necessary for us in this area because we've been having this severe drought, a really severe drought for most of the United States. So again, I know these cold fronts bring some nasty weather, some weather that may make you want to stay home. But again, it's going to be really helpful for us here in the Panhandle. But for the rest of the week, it's going to be quite nice. This cold front is just going to last a little bit of a day. It's going to bring some rain. It's going to bring some thunderstorms, but it will be cooling down for the rest of the week. Again, getting ready for the holiday season. I know a lot of people are looking forward to next week, going into Thanksgiving, going home, and hopefully these cool and clear conditions will continue for anybody who might be going home for Thanksgiving. So make sure you guys are staying safe, make sure you guys are staying warm, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/FSU weather, or if you're not a Twitter fan, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU weather, or if you want to watch us live on YouTube like you're doing right now, you can watch us on youtube.com/FSU weather, or if you want to send us any cool weather photos, you can follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. And again, folks, make sure you're staying warm. Make sure you're staying in tune with us here at FSU Weather. We're always going to bring you the most pertinent news and pertinent weather for everybody here in the Panhandle. But yeah, folks, I hope you guys have a great night and enjoy this beautiful week.